Welcome to the Business Men and Women of Color podcast series. I am your host, Ann Alston, CEO and founder of ALSTNTEC LLC, and it is my pleasure once again to bring quality programs to all of you. Today, our guest speaker will be talking about financial wealth. Particularly, even if you are individual or business, we all need to practice how to manage our money. So today, since I'm not an expert in this, I want to bring on someone who is an expert in health and wellness that will enlighten us on the type of things we should be aware of. And she will also talk about her services and what she provides. So I would like to introduce to everyone Angie Toney. She is the principal owner of her own company called Angel Financial Services, located in the DC area. She is an entrepreneur and a certified coach, serving clients as a health and wealth professional in the DC area. She recently left her corporate world to follow her passion, and this is all to help others realize their dreams of being an entrepreneur. While she is also building her financial services practice, she also teaches financial literacy, and it shows how well she is able to talk to people about their health and to also show them how to sustain their wealth. Her background is very extensive. I think, I applaud her for this. She has a BS degree in accounting from Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry, New York. She also has an MBA from the University of Phoenix, and she is also a graduate from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So everybody, please welcome Angie Toney to the program.
Great. So great to be here, Anne. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. I'm just so glad that you're here. So tell us about your history, your services, your company, and what inspired you to make that leap out from the corporate world and start your own business.
Well, I have had over 25 years of corporate audit. I do internal audit, and I started with just an accounting background, and I just happened to into the profession at TIAA-CREF was my first job, and they just paid tuition, and I was on my way to becoming a professional. And from there, I moved on to doing contracting work for Jefferson Wells, and I also worked for a public company, Minerals Technologies, also serving as an internal auditor. And as time goes on, you feel burned out from corporate, and sometimes you feel like the value is not there or appreciated, and you just want to move on to other things. So I now use my finance background to help others build wealth and just manage their money better.
Awesome. So tell us some of the services. I mean, I know you mentioned that you help them with their finances. Is it tax related, or is just doing your general budget? Or if you're a business owner, are you helping them, manage their operating? I kind of want the listeners to kind of get a sense of the type of services that you provide that will help them build their wealth.
Sure thing. Now, it's a wide range of financial services. That's why I call it that, because what I come to find out is that many people have the same problems over and over again cropping up when it comes to money. And it really is stemming from a lack of education. And since I had already been volunteering in many capacities for different organizations teaching financial literacy, some things as basic as writing a check, budgeting, you'd be surprised how many people don't even understand that, because I started helping young teens, actually teen moms and young dads who have no idea how to even begin to save and grow wealth. And as my practice grew, of course, I am a CPA certified in the state of New York, and I do taxes as well. So I also offer that service. I try to make that more complimentary for the people who need it. I mostly serve middle to lower income people because these people are underserved at this point. I think these types of services and advice should be accessible and affordable to all people. And many times when people hear financial advice, you think lucrative or only wealthy people do that. And then but on the advisor side, they're chasing money. So if you're not coming to table with thousands of dollars to invest, they generally don't want to help you. So therefore, I decided that this is something that's needing in the community, because there's lots of potential in our community. We just get lost, and a lot of us are just perpetuating the problems that our ancestors had and just don't know how to get out and seek help.
Okay, so you said something interesting earlier that, again, that we don't know how to manage our money. I know that for my own personal self, because I can only speak about me, I have my own financial woes. I have my
Hmm.
times where I'm doing very well, and then there are times where I think I could do better in terms of managing my money. But what do you think is the most common reason why people are having so much trouble managing their money? I mean, could it be that they just want to spend, or they're not realizing the impact when they spend? I kind of want to get it from your perspective, what you think might be the main reasons why we're in this cycle.
Yeah, it starts from something very basic, a poor relationship with money. And many times it's because we've inherited it from the person who we grew up around, a parent, guardian, a neighbor, a sister, a brother, cousins. We see people around us who are not doing well with money, and we inherit those attitudes. Some of us don't feel like we deserve it. We detract money. We just cannot, even when things are going well for a while, eventually we fall back down. And majority of it is psychological. Part of it is skill. The skill part anybody can learn, but the psychology part is very difficult, because if people are not disciplined and consistent in their application of knowledge of how to manage money, they always go back into the same cycle again. So it's ownership and understanding why money is the way it is, and why we feel the way, and all those touchy feely, maybe some the softer skills having to do with money. If we don't address that, we almost will never get out of that poverty kind of mentality.
And so there are so many organizations that talk about how to help manage your money or how to build wealth, and many different definitions. How does your organization stand out to say, this is real services that we can provide to you? We're not like all these other companies that will supposed to tell you how to do your wealth. What makes you stand out among everyone else?
The number one thing is that we're approachable. We are not overly technical where we feel like we're talking over your head, and it's just like, yeah, treating you like numbers and transactions, things that they just make it so complicated. That's why people are afraid. Nobody even want to deal with it. Who wants to hear about interest rate and compounding and law of 72 and all these other things? Is very confusing and disruptive to people's lives. So it's almost painful for people to say, oh God, I don't want to look at my checkbook, and they just don't want to make a move, and they end up being frozen. We're different in the sense that we're approachable. We've been there, done that. We are associated with the issues that occur in our community. So we're very in touch with what people are thinking and have experienced. And that is what makes us different.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to kind of flip it a little bit to just kind of focus on African American people in general and far as money. There's a lot of, misconceptions and things that I hear for my own self about how we deal with money in general. Do you find that we're more difficult to manage money than other races? And I'm not trying to be racist, everybody. I'm just asking the question because I think it's interesting to find out the unwritten question or the unsaid question is, do Black people don't manage their money as white people manage their money? I think it's important that we know what other people in the profession kind of, what is your experience of that?
Yeah, so there's definitely some challenges, extra challenges that we face as a community. And if people deny that, they're either lying or they just don't know. We are in a community that is coming out of many years of oppression, and even if it's not physical anymore, there are glass ceilings and other contributing factors that hold us back. And that also sometimes we're our own enemy for that, because we're so angry and we're so disillusioned as to what we can have, that we end up fighting against ourselves. And it's just a poor skills and just lack of understanding. But if we would open our minds, we could actually progress. But there's just certain things that we refuse to do. And we're generalizing, as you said, but yeah, we definitely have that problem within the community.
Okay, so in your expert opinion, what would be some of the key things that you really would like to stress to someone about managing their money, particularly if they're a business owner? Because part of it is that, when you're a new business owner, you using some of your funds in addition to whatever capital that you have for operating expenses, that's if you even have that. But what are some of the key things that you kind of want to stress and say this is what you must do if you want to manage your money?
Right. So number one, I'm going to say right away is you can be your own money manager. Everybody has to take responsibility for their part in the economy. So people could point fingers all they want, say, oh, trillions of dollars in debt, etc. But what's your contribution to it? If you're in debt, you're adding to that problem. So the first thing is ownership and understanding that you're your own money manager. When people want a plane ticket, oh, no problem. They're on Travelocity. Look up that ticket. You want to build a porch, DIY, go to Home Depot, get the book, get the parts, build a porch. But for the life of me, I don't understand why people will not take charge of their money. They leave it up to HR where they will go, and HR will say open enrollment, pick this, we have 401k, and they just follow along what everybody else is doing and will not even bother to understand. Many people don't even know if they have a 401k, one, and two, if they do they match? I don't know. Up to what limit if they do match? I don't know. Well, how much are you contributing? I don't know. I just do. And they just kind of follow along like sheep to the slaughter. That's how is the best way I could describe it. So you have to, again, determine that it's your responsibility to manage your money and then take it from there.
Okay, awesome. So I guess in my mind, I'm sort of thinking of all the points that you're making as far as managing our money. What would you say would be the best method to start? I know we can do like a budget or spreadsheet. I know I've done that plenty times before, but never really kind of stuck with it because you get lost in it. Is there one particular method or application that you found that works with most people? Not everybody, but most people?
Yeah, so regarding budgets, poor people manage their money day to day. Oh my God, can I afford it? Paycheck to paycheck or paycheck to 4 days before paycheck, because sometimes they run out before even the next payday. So that's one thing. So budgets don't necessarily, I think they're painful. I don't think they necessarily help sometimes. It's much more than that. And then it's going to start very basic. As I said, you have to retrain yourself and develop new habits that comes to money. Meaning, okay, are you a spender or are you a saver or an investor? You have to try to learn to flip the script and why. Everything with money starts with goals. And if you don't even have goals, that's part of the problem. How do you know if you're saving enough? How do you know if this is what you should be spending your money on? So the bottom line is going to be education, what to do with my money. So you come in and you learn about the foundation of building wealth. What do the wealthy people do? What do they know that we don't do? And I'll tell you, one of the crises in our community is that we don't think legacy. A lot of us like, well, I'm dead and gone anyway. Why should I care? But you know what? Why? When you can leave something to the next generation so they don't have to struggle as you did. Can you imagine what we would have? But is the lack of concern or I feel like it's not fair that we don't even think that. We don't think that way of developing our future for our young people and our next generation in our community. That's bad. And that's something that has to be fixed.
Right. So basically, what I'm hearing is that if we start thinking legacy long term for our children, grandchildren, and so on, that, we will tend to be more diligent in managing our money, our finances, our homes. Even now, when and I always put it to myself because I can only speak for myself, that even with my home, I think about when I'm long gone, like you said, what where would my house go? Who would benefit from it when I'm gone? And so I have to look to my next generation. Even if I don't have a huge saving, this house is an asset. And so what I try to teach my kids is that every time we have something, from glasses to movies to whatever it is we have in the house, that it's an asset for them. And I think that we've lost that over the last, I don't know, many, many years. Is that I think for me, we've lost the value of just principal family and just life, because we're so desensitized from all that stuff. And that's a different podcast. But, I totally agree
Yeah.
with you, Angie, that we don't think enough about legacy anymore and what that really means in our community. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or maybe even do another podcast with a different panel of people to talk about legacy, because I think you raised a really good point on that. As far as the health aspect of what you do, how do you tie that in when you're talking to people about managing their money? How do you tie in the health part of it to get them to see, I need to make these changes?
Well, first thing I ask people, who would like wealth and no health? And then the other way around. Who would
Wow.
like, yeah, really. And who would like health and no wealth? So you're healthy and you have no money to spend. They're intricately related because one goes with the other. A lot of times when we're unhealthy, it's draining our pockets. We don't think as a people to eat better, exercise, meditate, all these things that are good for your body, we don't do. And we end up spending money reactively to fix that and patch up the health. And then you're spending money on medication and things that could be better off building somewhere, getting a return on investment instead of draining your pocket. This is why I want people to think about their health as well. When your body is healthy, healthy body, healthy mind, then you'll have a healthy business. That it's just common sense.
Do you find that when you kind of use that methodology, that you have to probably have somebody who's on the psychological end of it to kind of reinforce what you're saying, so that people can understand that this is something they have to think about or change within themselves?
Yes, that is why the Institute for Integrative Nutrition is so useful to me, because even though my intention was just an interest in alternative health, like meditation and organic foods and just eating better, less sugar, all of that good stuff. Oh, but it just everything about it was holistic. There were parts in it about finance, and it's showing you how you have to look at individuals and businesses as a whole picture, relationships, career, food, money, everything is all related to the health and wealth of a person. And that's why I come back to, you can't just look at numbers and transactions. You have to look at people in general and every facet of their being in order to make them wealthy, period.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that wealth is just more than just money. Like you said, it's
Mhm.
really all about your whole entire lifestyle. How happy you are, how
Mhm.
healthy you are, mind, body, and soul is, sort of what I'm hearing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what's the point in having all that money, as I said before, and you're not happy, you're not having fun, you don't have great relationship with your children or your spouse, and so on.
Okay, awesome. Is there any other, as far as health advice, that you would give listeners who may be listening right now and realize that, hey, I do need to make some kind of changes as far as my health that would help my money situation? What advice would you give those listeners?
So right now, and be honest, when you have your annual checkup, you have to really look at your picture. What did the doctor prescribe? What is not so good? Maybe you're pre-diabetic or hypertension or whatever it is in your family. You could even look, if you're very young, you could even look at later in life your elder relatives and see what is running in your family. Do you want that for yourself? So you have to ask yourself some very serious questions and say, how can I change that? Because everything of what we learn too from IIN is about changing you can't physically change your genetics, obviously, your DNA makeup, that is in your family, but you can change the route in which brings forth certain diseases or illnesses that are chronic in your family. So by eating right, most of the answers are in nutrition, exercise, rest, those types of things. So, I mean, common sense will tell you to do the things that are best for your body. And then you will progress from there. And I bet you will cut down the junk food. That's draining your wallet. Hello.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I
right?
am guilty of that.
Yeah.
Cheetos, and Slim Jims are
Yeah.
my two favorite. I am so guilty of that. But they always say that money is the root of all evil, and I don't particularly believe that, because money was created for exchange of goods and services. I don't necessarily believe it's the root of evil and all this other type of stuff, but I do agree that if you are not socially balanced and you're not physically or mentally balanced, everything else is going to drop off. I think people should understand that money is just an avenue to get you from point A to point B, and managing it is a part of that. I'm pretty sure you have, your opinion. That's just me. What
Well,
is your
yeah.
high level thing?
But well, actually, the correct quote from the scripture is the love of money. And when people take the love of money to another level, that's where they fall apart. It's not money itself. We know King Solomon was the richest man to walk the face of the earth, and the Most High loved him. So it is actually a righteous thing to have money. When you have blessings, and money is a part of it. And a lot of us, especially if you're Christian, some people don't feel money is a good thing. You got to get rid of that, because that's part of the detraction from money. If you're not going to attract money if you think it's a bad thing and you feel guilty for having it. That's part of the problem. So I'm with you on that. It's the love of money and not money itself.
Okay. Yeah, because that kind of gets my mind racing. Why do people think that money is evil, or why
It's
people
not.
kind of love? I mean, it's a tangible thing. It's not even a physical being, but people have such a deep emotion for
Mhm.
money. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I have
I
sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut you.
no, you go right on ahead, because I'm thinking I don't really have that big of attachment to money like some people may have, and I guess I'm just trying to understand the emotional attachment to money.
In my practice, I have a questionnaire that I like to give out when I first meet people, because what it does is introduce me to these people's thinking about money. Things like, what's your spiritual belief? It matters, and then you start going from there about the influences in your life about money, and what do you find challenges are to getting you to the money. And it'll reveal a lot in that questionnaire, because it'll tell you how people really feel about having it or not having it. Can they get out? Can they not? Either way you believe, it's probably true, because your belief has so much to do with the direction of your life.
Wow. That is definitely interesting. It's getting deeper the more I talk to you, Angie.
Oops,
It's
I
almost
know.
it's almost getting to the spiritual aspect, but we can't really go there, because that's a very sensitive subject. I guess out of this podcast, what I wanted to kind of bring to light is there's so many different reasons why people feel the way they do about money, how they manage money. I know for me, in my personal life, money is there to help me get whatever it is I need to get, but I'm not emotionally attached to money. But then I know some people that are, they just love everything there is about money. And then I know some people who just can't hold on to money. As soon as they get it, they have to spend it. So I think it's just an individual perspective, like you said, particularly for businesses. Me being a business owner, money is obviously important because I have to be able to operate. So if you're a business owner, what is some of the main advice that you can give to like a business owner if they're trying to manage their money just to keep their business going? What are some of the or what's some of the common mistakes that a business owner does?
My number one thing is people not treating their business like a business. They come in like hobby, is la la la, and you do it any way you want. No, it is a professional, formalized thing. If you're going to have a business, register with the state, come up with your name and register with the state. pay the dues. People don't like to invest because, again, they think, oh, I'm going to do everything myself. And then they'll hire the right professionals, like an attorney or a CPA to do the books. This is not your expertise. Your expertise is your business. So therefore, you're supposed to engage people who are knowledgeable and understanding. Don't do it just to cut corners. Focus on your passion. And this is where people go wrong. Oh, and the other mistake I always see, they don't want to pay taxes. There's so many legal ways to reduce taxes, but people will just put the money under the mattress or find some other way to hide the revenue, and it ends up hurting them in the end. Because what point is, when you're in business and you want a loan, let's say a nice business, what do you think banks want to see? They want to see profit. But if you're putting all deductions and getting down to losses, you're not going to be eligible for that. No one's going to want to partner with you and do business with you if you're not making money. So it is actually harming you from trying to avoid taxes.
Oh, wow. So you're saying they put it under the mattress? Is that, So they put it under the mattress, like the old time, you don't want to go to a bank.
Yes, well, or all I'm really saying is hiding income is really what I'm saying.
They're hiding the income.
Mm-hmm.
That can actually hurt a business, because I think if you're not really doing the research to figure out how your business is going to function, then you're going to be hiding money, and because you're not really educating yourself on all of the different ways that you can make a profit and maintain your profit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I found out that this year, even if I didn't make a dime, I still have to pay a fee when I file my taxes. And I haven't made anything, so how does business deal with that? Do you think that that also plays in the psyche of how they manage their money if they have to pay a fee even if they didn't make a dime?
I think people are so into the nickel and diming. Again, if it's your business and you did the proper research to know how to run and operate a business, you should know their costs associated with it. Don't be in business if you don't plan on spending money on a nice website, on the registration fees that you need for the business, the material, supplies, things that make you brand you. Those are things that are a good spend. You have to look at value. Again, people who are not wealthy or don't have that wealthy mindset look at costs, dollar, expense. They don't look at value. But what am I getting for the money?
Okay.
And that's what you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so speaking of value, tell everybody, what is really the value of having a CPA do your books? Because a lot of people, they think CPA, they think, oh, they're going to charge me all this money to do my taxes or do my books, but like you said, people need to understand the value of what that service actually provides. So give us a sample of that.
Well, if you're just starting out, I would, and I'm talking very basic, like first, fresh out the door, you can use just your banking checkbook to start. When it starts getting too cumbersome for you to keep track on an Excel spreadsheet, it's time to step up to the next level. You don't have to hire a CPA to do bookkeeping. Find a bookkeeper, somebody who's not a CPA, and that is a very inexpensive way, and also somebody who's very knowledgeable in books. Just because a person is a CPA doesn't mean they understand bookkeeping, and it certainly doesn't mean they understand taxes. I've seen plenty of CPAs mess up taxes that I have to file amended returns for. So, don't assume the CPA. You don't have to go the most expensive route. And also, even if you parcel it out to someone, to a professional, you have to have some basic understanding of business and how books work and how money works. Because if you don't do that, Madoff is going to make off with your money, basically.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. So Angie, all of that is wonderful information. I'm already thinking now, as I've been talking to all the different, guest speakers here, if I've learned yoga and now I know finance, and, it definitely helps me understand way bit more, of the different perspectives that you shared in terms of how people deal with money, because I never really thought about whether I'm an emotional person with money, or I am a spender or a saver, or maybe I want to put it up under my mattress, or something like that. Yes. So, I don't think people actually realize what category they're in. And I think after listening to this podcast that they'll kind of go, I didn't never realize that before. What can I do to either improve or to change what I am? So for this last few minutes, I would like for you to kind of tell everybody where they can find you, your services, or if you want to add anything else about what you do or provide, please let our listeners know how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, yeah, I would love to share that. I am a financial consultant in a financial center that has an office in Herndon, and that's 13800 Coppermine Road in Herndon, Virginia. And we have workshops continually, like as people come in, and depending on what the person needs, we can customize them. But we have about 6 basic workshops that we do at that financial center, and that's just the education piece, because as I said, education should be complementary and everybody should learn all the facets of money, where the problems are, learn about themselves and how they see money. I also have my own business, as we mentioned before, Angel Financial Services, LLC, because when it comes to your money, sometimes you need a darn miracle. And that's why I named it Angel, because you just need some miracles sometimes. And it's www.angel-financial-services.com. I offer a lot of times complimentary tax preparation and planning, especially if people have IRS issues. I mostly try to do workouts for people, especially my single moms out there who just having a hard time, or just somebody you just need to catch a break. And that's pretty much where I come in. I feel like I was created to solve problems. And of course, my mobile, I'm happy to give it, is 917-593-0754. I don't want people to sit and suffer and wonder and be embarrassed. That's another thing. We're embarrassed and we don't even seek help. So we just stay frozen and never get out of it. It is challenging, I'm not going to lie. It took years to create debt problems and IRS problems, etc. But so it's going to take a little time to repair, but you have to move and take the step. If you don't, you won't get there. And I do also offer products for wealth building. So once the person has cleared up the credit problems, we want to see these people in homes if that's what their goal is. We help them set up their goals and decide where they want to go. If they want to start a business, we help them manage that. And then offer products for protection and retirement and so on, so that you can leave a legacy.
Okay, folks, there's no excuse now. Angie has pretty much gave you all the information you can ever want. I know she's out in Herndon, but you guys are going to have to drive out there. I've drove to Herndon before. It's really not that far. But if someone is offering resources as unique as this, you need to take advantage of it. So as you're listening to this podcast, make sure you check out all the other podcasts from all the other wonderful speakers giving great advice, including Angie Tones today, because it's really important that we support our community, that we support our children, we support our elders, and anyone who can benefit from this information. So Angie, thank you so much for being on this podcast today and really just being transparent and open about some of the tough questions that I asked about finances, and just kind of waking us up to the different aspects and perspectives that we need to be aware of.
It was my pleasure, Anne. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.